Hi everyone, it's Steph Evans here from Evans Creations, and today I am going to do a little tutorial on how to create an embroidered messy hair bun style. So the main technique that we use during this is the long and short stitch. It's also known as a thread painting technique, and it's really good for filling in areas. So to begin with, what we do is we're going to work a foundation row of straight stitches, and we're going to alternate each stitch between long and short. Okay, so I did a long, I've done a short, now I'm going to do another long stitch. Okay. Okay, so now I'm just going to go round the ear because I want to have a nice smooth line going around the ear to give it a little bit of detail. Okay, so I'm just using reasonably small stitches to try and keep that line really smooth. Okay, so this is just a little bit of back stitch just to get that detail. Okay. Okay, right, so now I'm going to be concentrating on that hairline, and what I think really adds to the effect is if you make sure that each of these stitches, your long and short stitches along the hairline, are in the direction that the hair would naturally lie. So with this embroidery, for example, the hair's been scraped back into a messy bun, so I want to make sure that each of those stitches go and are in the direction that the hair would naturally be. So this, I think, adds a really nice effect to the final product. So I'm just going to do these long and short stitches all the way around the hairline, and then I'll show you the next step. Okay, so we've done that initial foundation row of the long and short stitches. Now what we're going to do is we're going to fill in the remaining area with the variated stitches. Now with this, what you need to do is make sure again that you are doing the stitches in the direction the hair would naturally lie, but you want to actually pierce through that foundation row of stitches. So that means that you create a bit of an overlap, but it gives you a really good solid filled area. Hair will look really nice and thick. We've used, with this one, I've used 4 strands of thread. It's up to you how many you use. You don't have to use 4, but I just find that it gives a really nice finish. And then when we go on to do the finer details, we're going to just use 1 strand of thread. Okay, so I'm just going to go along that top hairline and fill in all of these gaps so that we've got a nice solid effect. Okay, so I've filled in all of that hair using the long and short stitches. Now what I'm going to do is just use 1 individual strand of thread to add bits of detail. So like trailing hair, like little pieces of hair coming up through the top of the style, around the bun. But to do that, you literally just use 1 strand of thread, and we're going to just do really loose stitches. So loose individual stitches, and we're going to build it up so that it gives a really nice effect. Looks quite realistic. So like you can see here, I've just put 1 loose strand there, and I'm going to add just another one here, but I'm keeping it nice and loose so that I can kind of play around with the direction, make it look a little bit more realistic. And I'm just going to build up those little bits of details until I feel like it looks quite realistic, because if you go with just the long and short stitches to fill in the area, it looks it looks perfect, which is fine, but we're going for a messy bun kind of style. Now, with these long loose stitches, you can kind of tack them into place with little stitches, either at the root, so along that scalp line, just to kind of make sure that it stays nice and loose, because as you do your next stitch, you can sometimes pull it a little bit tight. So you can kind of just tack it with a tiny little stitch. But I like to make sure that I keep them nice, all the threads nice and loose. It just looks a lot more natural, and you can actually build up the individual strands of thread over that block hair to give that more realistic bits of detail. So just have a bit of a play. This bit's quite creative, a bit more organic. You do as much or as little as you want to get the desired effect. There's no kind of set rules, because it just depends on what kind of style you're going for. This is my favourite bit. I really enjoy doing this bit, so hopefully you will too. Okay, I just wanted to zoom in so that you could see how I'm doing this bun here. So I'm just building up the last little bits of detail. I'm really happy with how this is looking now. I feel like it's really caught the natural way that the hair's been swept back, and kind of the stray hairs give lots of little bits of detail. So I'm just trying to build up the kind of bun section now, by doing lots of stitches in kind of like a circular motion. So I keep going back into the center of the bun, so that if you imagine how a hair bun is tied up, it's giving that same effect. So it can get a little bit tricky to pull the needle through once you've added quite a lot of the thread, and built up the kind of bun style. So it's important to use a sharp embroidery needle, because otherwise it really hurts your thumb. But I don't know if you can see here how that's kind of starting to get a bit more of a bun shape now. So I am very nearly finished with this bit. I just want to add a couple more bits of detail across the top of the hair, once I finish with this bun, just to kind of give it a bit more of a natural look. But yeah, I'm really happy with how this looks. So I hope you've enjoyed my tutorial, and I hope to see your messy hair bun photographs and videos if you wanted to share. My Instagram is at Evanscent Creations. I'm the same on Facebook and on YouTube, so would love to hear what you thought about this tutorial, and would be really excited to see your pictures too.